For part 2 of the second battle of Geonosis, I watched Season 2 Episode 7, Legacy of Terror, and Season 2 Episode 8, Brain Invaders. Legacy of Terror. Poggle the Lesser is on the run, and Luminara hops on a speeder and tries to find him. A bit later, Obi-Wan receives a hologram message from Luminara, and she tells Obi-Wan that she's found something of importance, a munitions crate. But before she can say goodbye, the communication is cut and she disappears. The rest of the episode is pretty much Anakin, Obi-Wan, and crew trying to find Luminara, and it was pretty damn fun. The entire time they were in the tunnel system trying to find her, getting attacked by zombie bugs. It really reminded me of Aliens, when the Space Marines are getting slaughtered by what seems to be an unstoppable enemy. The zombie bugs were interesting. If you told me that there were zombie bugs in the episode, I probably would have gone, oh no, that sounds like something I'm not gonna like. But they were really well done. They were dead, but instead of reanimating through your typical zombie-like ways, they were being controlled by a hive mind. The crew spots a statue, and they determine that it could possibly be the rumored queen, the Geonosian queen. No one has ever seen the queen. Her existence is actually a myth and a legend. Cut to Luminara being captured by the Geonosians. She's putting up a good fight, kicking the hell out of them, but realizes that her efforts aren't doing anything. Her attempts at fighting them off aren't working. They're zombies, mindlessly going through the motions, feeling no pain, getting up and getting right back into the fight. Eventually, she's fully captured. Cut back to Anakin, Obi-Wan, and crew blasting some zombie bugs. It's another futile effort. They just have to keep running, keep moving. Because like zombies, the bugs are slow, and really the only worthwhile tactic is to evade. Like I said, I really enjoyed the entire labyrinth tunnel sequences, which took up a lot of this episode. It was chaotic and almost helpless, an endless fight against an unstoppable zombie horde. It was almost like a horror movie, literally a zombie horror movie. Waves of mindless drones creeping closer and closer. Just one of these zombies isn't much of an issue, but when they're big in numbers, you can't blast or swing fast enough. And then wham! They find the Geonosian queen, and by her side is a subdued and captured Luminara. Obi-Wan wants to communicate with the queen, Anakin wants to bring down the house. The dynamic on display between the two of them is more evident than ever before, in my opinion. On one hand, you have a chess player, someone who wants to at least attempt to negotiate or to understand the threat. And on the other hand, with Anakin, you have someone who just wants to slash and burn. I love seeing the different sides of the same Jedi coin. So, Obi-Wan's diplomacy doesn't work. The Queen actually calls Anakin and Obi-Wan creatures, which I thought was a neat little touch in terms of the writing. To the Geonosians, they are creatures. It's just a fun little line that I really appreciated. So Poggle's plan is to put a mind control brainworm in the Jedi's head, and basically use them and their powers to their advantage. But the plan is foiled, because the clones start blasting like crazy, and eventually they win the day, squashing the Queen underneath the collapsing temple. I'm assuming she's dead, maybe not, I'll have to watch the next episode or future arcs, but we'll see. There's another line in this episode that kind of differentiated Anakin and Obi-Wan's mindset and motivations. When they're escaping, Anakin squashes the brainworm. He just stomps it, kills it. Obi-Wan says something like, "Hey, I was gonna study that." And Anakin replies by saying, "You can study my boot." It's clever, it's clever writing, I really dug it. After watching Legacy of Terror, I watched Brain Invaders. First of all, I love the variety of episodes in this arc, from action-packed to smaller objective to a horror movie zombie throwdown to a brain parasite infestation. The variety is amazing. So with Poggle the Lesser captured, the plan is to bring him to Coruscant to stand trial. The two Padawans, Ahsoka and Barriss, are ordered to transport medical supplies to Dantooine. We cut back down to Geonosis, near the temple from the last episode, and see a brainworm hatch out of an egg and infect a resting clone. The infected clone plays it cool. He's the Trojan horse, and he's entering the Republic ship with a backpack full of brainworm eggs. He goes into the barracks where a bunch of clones are sleeping, rolls the eggs across the room, and all of the clone troopers begin to be infected. I don't know why, but overall I just love stories where our characters don't know who to trust, who is on their side, who is out to get them, who's a double agent. Those type of story twists have always really appealed to me, because it's not just our main characters going through this tension. The audience is also feeling it. We're often as clueless as the characters we're following. So the ship that Ahsoka and Barriss are on begins to be overrun by infected clones. Later on, we see a dark side of Anakin. Poggle is in the holding cell, being transported, ready to be interrogated. Other Jedi have tried to use the mind trick on him, but the mind trick doesn't work on Geonosians. So Anakin, undeterred, begins to rough Poggle up, throwing him around, beating him and choking him. The music gets dark. We see a look in Anakin's eye that we haven't seen before. He's doing what he thinks is right. His friends, his Padawan, and an entire ship is in danger, and he's trying to get information out of Poggle by force. But it's not necessarily the Jedi way. Later on in the episode, Barriss gets infected. This is when my enjoyment of the episode really ramped up. She appears outside of the room that Ahsoka is in, staring at her, not saying a word, an evil and possessed look on her face, and they begin to fight. Ahsoka isn't giving her all. She's in defense mode. She doesn't want to hurt her friend, even though her friend isn't really there. She's basically blocking and running. Anakin is able to find out from Poggle that the brainworms don't like the cold, so Ahsoka disrupts the coolant system, basically freezing the interior of the ship and eradicating the worm problem. Barriss has a moment of clarity during this, and she tells Ahsoka to kill her. In this moment of clarity, she's probably realizing that she's a threat and at the same time might be in a lot of pain. She's probably thinking about both her pain and saving her friends and crew. So the episode ends with the ship docking with their destination, the medical station. Ahsoka doesn't know if she made the right decision. She's thinking about the what ifs. What if she was wrong about the cold? What if the worms continued to infect everyone on board and even the medical station? What if things turned out completely different? And Anakin tells her not to worry about that. Things worked out. I like the way that they ended this arc, showing someone who thinks of the possibilities and dwells on the potential alternatives or downfalls or outcomes. And then someone who seems to live with whatever decision is made and looks forward, not backwards. I dig it. Now it's time to dive into the Mortis arc. HelloGreedo, out.